Head over to miniaturemarket.com where they have thousands of board games at discounted prices, and you can sign up for product alerts. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. You're about to see my Allegro 1-minute overview and final thoughts. This is designed to see if this game warrants more of your time. If it does, just keep watching because then you'll see my full intro overview and final thoughts. However, if you don't want to be spoiled anything and you want to skip right to the full review, use the time index below in YouTube. Yak is a family game for 2 to 4 players where Yak's going to be going around with food and stones. You're going to be trading food for stones and making a big pyramid, trying to get the most points by grouping them together in certain ways. But each card has different rules, like this one wants no milk, just bread and meat to get the stones. Players will be selecting a card and then revealing, taking that action. Sometimes you'll be placing goods in the back to take blocks. A certain amount equals a certain amount. Other times you'll be taking the food, all of one type from there, then randomly from a bag, placing another stone in there. Other times you'll be taking goods from a market, any 2 that you want. But you'll also be setting yourself up for another turn because you'll draw 3 stones from the bag, take any one and place it in any of the cards. And some of those cards will have these light blue crystals, which are wild at the end of the game. And there's also an advanced variant with new bonus cards like don't have any black blocks, -3 points, or 2 points for each of the reds where you see them in your pyramid, or the most or second most of this color will get you a certain amount of points. So plan well and build your pyramid to certain specifications to get the most points in the end. Yak has great table presence with those toy factor of the yaks and the carts moving all the way around. Simple rules. You're either going to build or gain food on your turn. The turns are very quick moving because of that. Select a card, do it, do your move, next turn, they move fast. Planning ahead is good because you got to figure out what you're going to get, what you might get later, but the fog could alter your plans. You got to know about that, but I like that aspect of it. You're spending more to get these cool wild crystals and you get to decide which one goes where and what color they're going to be at the end, and you're always calculating the point differential between what am I going to do with this crystal, what colors are going to be at the end of the game. The advanced cards add a huge layer of depth to this, that more than what was there in the original standard base. And you can be affected by others by taking things they want, but it's not quite as mean as, say, Azul. On the negative side of things, some of the colors of the blocks look a little close. 2 blues, 2 oranges, things like that. I wish the bag was bigger so you could shuffle the stones better. You might knock over your pyramids. You might want to lay them flat. And the bread itself, I wish it kind of had some screen printing to make it look better. But overall, if you're looking for an abstract game similar to Azul but lighter, a little bit more breezy, check out Yak. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we're trying to build the most impressive stone wall that kind of looks like a pyramid. And we're going to be doing that by gathering different stones from Yak carts, and we're trading food in order to do that. Today we're taking a look at Yak. This is from Pretzel Games, which is an imprint of Plan B games, and those are the ones that have made games like Azul. That's actually in their Next Move Games imprint, and this is so it's like a line of Plan B games. These ones tend to be lighter family games, more party-ish games. Although this one's not a party game at all. This is actually I'd call it a family level resource management game. So let's take a look at it. I'll show you how it works. I'll see you on the other side. In Yak, each player is going to have a player board, and over the course of the game, you're going to be building up a pyramid of stones, and you're going to be trying to group them together in specific ways with different colors to get the most points in the end. And you're going to be getting those different stones from these awesome little yaks that will be going around the board. You're going to be trading food for stones, and there's also a little baby yak for the first player marker. Now the main way to get points in this game is by building up your pyramid of stones in certain ways. Now let's look at the groups. Groups are 2 stones that are touching or more. We have a group of 2 here, another one here of black, and another one here of red, for example. Now these light blue are crystals. They're wilds, and you get to say what color they are at the end. Like this, we have orange, orange, and we can make this one orange, and so that's all 3. Now you can't make a second crystal orange because this one already is, but maybe we make this one gray. Gray, 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 4 of them. So we look at the groups here, and we have 1, 2, 3 groups of 2. So each of those is going to get us 3 points because it's a group of 2. This orange here is a group of 3, so it's going to get us 6 points. And this group of 4 grays using that crystal is going to get us 9 points. That's one main way to score. The other is how many different groups you have. And in this case, we actually have 5 different groups because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The single ones don't really count. You'll get small points for those as well, but that's the main way that you get most of the points in the game. So now you know that, let's show you how you do this. Now here is the amazingly looking board here, where the yaks are going to be moving around in different spots like that. Let's take a closer look. Yeah, this game definitely has huge table presence with these humongous toy-like yaks. They're going to be moving around, you're going to be gathering stones, trading food with it. It just looks really cool on the table. Now here we have it set up for 4 players, and you'll have a player sitting at each different side of the board, and they're going to be closest to one of the yaks. For example, we're sitting in front of this one. This one says no meat. Notice it doesn't have any meat in it. It has just milk and bread, and it has 3 stones. Each player has their own board that you're building that pyramid in that I showed you, and each player starts with one of each of the goods. On your turn, you're going to select one of 3 cards, and you're going to place it face down. Once everyone has it figured out, you will flip it face up, and you'll go in turn order. Now, one of those cards allows you to build. You take any amount of goods, and you can, basically build 1 to 3 blocks. Now, this shows you 1 good gets you 1 block, 3 goods gets you 2 blocks, and 5 goods gets you 3 blocks. However, knowing that this one cannot take meat, so right now I only have 2 goods, so the most really I could get right now is just 1 block, because otherwise I'd need 3 goods to get a second block, and I can't because this one doesn't take meat, but it's the beginning of the game. So let's say, okay, we know we'll just pay a bread, and we will take one of these blocks. We could take any one of these we want. Let's say we go for red. And the first one you'll place in any one of these 5 spots, and then the next ones have to go next to or on top of a couple of blocks as well. Well, let's say each player built, and then what's going to happen is all these yaks are going to travel, and it's really cool that these wheels actually spin, and they look really cool. Each of the yaks are going to travel around to the next player. Now let's just say this one looked like this right now. This shows that when you're giving goods, you can only give them in pairs, like milk and bread, or milk and meat, or meat and bread. So you have to pick 2 of the 3, and those are the ones that you can give for this one. By the way, this is a 4-player setup, and in less than 4 players, this specific card's actually removed, and you're only using 3 cards. Now you might even look forward. Now going clockwise, this one won't take bread, this one won't take milk. So if I wanted to get goods, I'd probably take ones that aren't those 2, so maybe I'll just take the meat. So if I play this card, this allows me to get 1 to 8 of the same type, this or this or this. So there's 2 of those, so I can take any one of these sets. So I would take these 2, but then from a bag, I am going to randomly pull a new block to put in there. So I just shuffle it up and put a new block. Now this can only hold a total of 4 stones there. And then I'd take that and put it here. Now you can never have more than 8 goods on your board there. Now the last possible card action is this. It's going to the market here, which matches these. You can take 1 or 2 goods. They can be any type or any combinations. Then you're going to draw 3 stones from a bag. From those 3, you'll choose one of them, but you could put them in any of the cards, setting yourself up maybe for next turn. So let's say our play board looks like this, and our next turn we play the build. Now what we want to do is, the card that we're about to get to has one of these light blues. These are those wild crystals. So let's say we want to take a crystal and 1 other block. Normally, 2 blocks would cost 3 goods, but if you're getting a crystal, it's an additional 1. So we would have to give 4 goods, and the one that we're looking at doesn't take milk. So we could take these 4, we could take these 4, and we would spend them and put them in the back of that cart. So I started to put that food in here, but each carriage can only hold 9, 3 in each stall. So I had a leftover one. This would actually go into the market in the middle of the table that people might be able to get later, but I'm going to pull the 2 blocks I want. I want the red, I want that wild crystal. So let's say I put the crystal right here, and let's say I put the red here. Now, why am I building it like this? There's an advanced variant that allows you to put these different bonus cards out. There's, I think, 8 total cards. You shuffle them up. This one says, if you have red blocks on the 2nd or 4th row like this, they're going to be worth 2 points apiece. But you want to make sure you get at least 1 black block, otherwise you'll get -3 points. And if you have the most of these darker grays, you'll get 5. Second most, you'll have 3 points. So different ways to shake the game up, give you different things to think about. Now, it is a game of planning and resource management. However, there's one part I haven't shown you yet. Is when you're refilling one of these and you pull out a white one, it's a fog. And what happens is all of the cards are going to change the direction. So you had a plan for next turn? Well, that's kind of not going to happen now, because now all the acts turn, and now they're going to start going in the opposite directions. Now this will continue to happen for each fog that happens throughout the game. Once it gets to 3, you sort of remove this, you put these back in the bag, and they'll start to go again. But if they ever fill up again the second time, there'll only be one in the bag. So it doesn't actually happen too much throughout the game, but it can mess with your planning a little bit. Now this will continue until a player has finished their 4th row. When that happens, everyone plays one more round, and that player is actually going to get this token, which is going to give them 3 extra points at the end of the game. But you have one more turn, and actually you can put a bunch of them on this top row and just keep stacking them up on your last turn. But then you go through the final scoring, which I mentioned earlier. But in addition to scoring the groups and the colors as I showed you earlier, anything that's just a single block by itself, you'll get a point for. You'll get, whoever has the most food tokens will get 2 points. Again, whoever has that token gets 3. And then you might score some of those bonus variants. Whoever the most points in the end is the winner. Yeah, one thing's for certain, this game has great table presence. It has a toy factor of these yaks, and the yaks themselves are sort of plastic, but they're very heavy and chunky. They don't feel like cheap, sort of like hollow plastic. These things feel really high quality. So the table presence, you set this thing up and you're playing this game and you're like, okay, turn's over, let's move everyone's yaks, and you're like rolling the things and the wheels are spinning, and even the wheels on the things are cool because they're not like perfectly round. They're like all sort of like crazy looking, a little warped on purpose to make it look like it's one of these older carriages that have been in service for a while. And so people are watching you move these yaks around, and then sometimes you're pulling a white fog token out and you're swapping which direction the yaks are going, and they're going around. And people that are just watching this from afar and walking by, it's definitely going to draw them in and be like, what are you guys playing? So this game definitely has the toy factor and the table presence for sure. Nice, vibrant, sort of family looking game on the table. The game has simple rules, really. On your turn, you're either building or gaining food. One or the other. You're giving food to gain stones, or you're just gaining food. Granted, there's 3 different options you have, because you can build, or you can gain food from the cart in front of you, or you can gain food from the market that's kind of in the middle. And if you're really stuck, that's probably where you'd go for that. But it's very easy. Select a card, flip it, do your thing. This game has quick moving turns. I mean, it's not like rocket science here. You pretty much have a plan, you know what you're gonna do. You're kind of planning ahead, which is really cool because you're looking at what's in the cart in front of you. You're looking at the cart that's supposed to be coming to you next, maybe even the one after that. You're looking at what that specific cart can't take. You're looking at what you want to do with the stones, and you're sort of making this plan. Okay, I could do this turn, and I could do that next turn. Of course, you're never quite sure because those fogs could come out, but you are definitely planning ahead. Now, the fog themselves, you might have watched the overview and go, oh, that just feels really random. But there's really not that many fogs in there, and there's a lot of blocks in there. And so it doesn't quite happen as much as you think it might, but it can happen. So you do have to know that it's quite there, and if it does happen a lot throughout the game, eventually it's really good. There's only gonna be one in the bag. And so it wasn't one of those things where I was just like, oh, here's the fog again, just screw all my plans up. No, it happens now and time again, but it's not like every turn. It doesn't happen that often that was really that much of a detriment, but it does make it so you can't just math everything out and be looking at like 8 turns ahead. You gotta like at some point be like, okay, a wrinkle might be thrown and I gotta know that, and I gotta think of what I might do if that does happen. I like that you need to spend more to get those crystals because as you're building these things up, you're trying to figure out what are you doing. Are you trying to build up huge groups of a couple of colors, or are you trying to build up a bunch of groups of smaller groups of multiple colors? Because those are the 2 really big main ways to score. But getting those crystals gives you all that flexibility because you can make it any color you want, but you can only make each a crystal a specific color once. You can't make this crystal red and this crystal red. You really got to figure it out. And so when you're doing this and you're grabbing these crystals and you're building your pyramid of stones and you're going, and I like this part. Some people might not like this part, but I liked it, where you're sitting there and you're calculating, like, okay, if I put a crystal here, then this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for this one, but it will be 3 for this one. But if I put it here and I make it this color, then I'll get 4 for this one and 4 for this one, and that equals this. And are there any other ones out that I might be able to also get before the end of the game? And I like that you're sort of mathing together the most efficient way or the best way for your scoring, and that was a fun part of the game for me. Doing a little arithmetic. Now, I showed you the advanced cards that you add on there. It gives you certain things like, hey, if you have the most of these blocks, you get 4 points. If you don't have any blacks, you'll get -3. If you put reds in that second row or the 4th row, there'll be an extra 2 points. I really like these cards. In fact, I would never play without these. Even if I'm teaching the game for the first time, I'm always going to play with these cards because they don't add that much. They don't really add any more complexity. They just give you a little bit of a focus and one more thing to think about as you're trying to figure, what to do. So I really like that. Highly recommend playing with those advanced cards. About player interaction. You definitely can affect others. You can have a cart that's going by you and the player to the left of you is collecting those red ones and they're trying to do that thing where they get 2 points for each one on those different 2 levels. And you might not care about it, you might not have them been going for them that often, but you might just take one because A, there's maybe not a lot of other great things. Sure, you've got other plans of things that you could do, but you might decide to take them just so that they don't have it. So you can sort of quote unquote hate draft in this game, but it's not nearly as mean as like Azul. And I'm just saying that because Azul's in an abstract sort of style game where you're drafting things and building your own thing. Similar here by the same sort of, publisher from a big standpoint there, Plan B, Next Move / Pretzel Games. But it's not nearly as mean as Azul. So like, yes, you can affect other players. Yes, you can mess with people by drafting things that you think that you know what they want, but at the same time you're drafting something and you're putting in yours, is it going to really help you or not? And you've got to decide that. So it can be, you can interact with other players, but it's not super mean when it does happen. Let's see, the things I didn't like about the game. So some of the colors of the blocks can be a little hard to determine. There's like 2 colors of oranges. There's a light gray and a dark gray. There's 2 blues. And if they're sitting right next to each other, it's easy to say that's the dark blue, that's the crystal. Or that's the dark orange and that's the light orange. And there's a yellow too, right? But if there's just one out there and it's the beginning of the game and there's just one of those out there, it's a little tough to tell which one it is, right? And so I wish they would have made the colors a little bit more different. I'm guessing that they probably just stayed away from colors that are mostly colorblind, deterrents, like greenish, things like that. They probably tried to stay away from colors that tend to give colorblind, people that have sight vision problems, issues. I'm guessing that's why they did it, because otherwise I don't know why you would make colors so close without talking about some of the other palettes. So anyway, sometimes it can be a little tough to see which color is that? So a little bit of negative there. The board itself. Oh, so before I get there, the bag. I showed you the bag. It's nice. It holds all the tokens in there, all the stones. But even if you're not playing with the full complement of players, or you take some of the stones out, I wish the bag was a little bigger. Yes, it kind of holds them, but you can't really like shuffle them once they're in there, because if you do, they're all going to sort of fall out. I wish the bag was like twice as big. And again, I know that would like increase the cost of the game, but it would have been nice to have some room in there to like, rummage them up, especially when you're throwing back in the fog and stuff like that. The board itself, it shows stacking these blocks like sort of like vertically. So like they're sort of standing up, not like all the way up like this, but like, they're not flat down on the ground. They're still up. And that's how it shows you to do it. But I found that it's when you get towards the top, it's a little more likely that as you're reaching for something, you might knock them over and have to reset them up. Where if you sit them flat, it doesn't look nearly as cool, but they're not really going to fall over. So that could be an issue. Your pyramids might fall over if you stack them the way that they show it. It happened once or twice, not the end of the world, but just be knowing that happens. And pretty much the last thing is the bread. The bread itself just kind of looks like a shmoo, like that old cartoon character that's yellow. I would have really loved them to put some screen printing on it or make that bread really look like bread. But again, I'm sure they had to cut corners somewhere because of all the other crazy, amazing components in this game. To get this game to be priced the way it is, it's probably amazing just to do whatever they did to get it this way. But I wish the bread looked a little bit better with some screen printing maybe on there. But that's pretty much it. If you're looking for sort of a lighter family game, that's sort of abstract, has that sort of Azul feeling where you're drafting something from this sort of like overall thing that other players can take things from that are moving around, but then you're taking that and you're building your own thing with it. If you like that style abstract game, this is one to check out because it definitely has the toy factor, the table presence. It is lighter than, say, it's a little easier than Azul, I'd say. It's not quite as mean, but it's in that same vein, but not necessarily quite as thinky as that. So it's like sort of a little bit more breezy, a little bit more casual game, I'd say, than Azul is, but obviously it looks a lot different too. So that's what I think about Yak. Game Toppers not only transforms your existing table to a high-quality gaming solution, they now offer full leg kits and dining cover solutions for the full table application. Paired with their amazing thematic premium stitch edge mats from noted board game artists like Vincent Dutray, collapsible cup holders, and really cool accessories, it's a complete system that upgrades every game you play. Go to GameToppersLLC.com or click the link below. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here, and today we're trying to build the biggest and most best. That does not sound good.